This will make the Miami Heat unstoppable as we have brand new injury report updates on two premier players for this Heat team in Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. I'm here to break down brand new quotes from Tyler as well as Bam and even the head coach Erik Spoelstra surrounding the expected timeline for the return of these two all-star players and whether or not this would really transcend this Heat team going forward for the rest of this NBA season. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest, but first, please do remember, scroll down and click that subscribe button, as nearly 95% of you guys watching this video are not currently subscribed. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys tremendously for everything. But now let's get to it and break down the major injury report updates surrounding Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro, the two marquee names down in Miami, as they've been without both of these star players. Tyler Herro for the entirety of this season up to this point, and Bam Adebayo for the last 5 to 6 games, and it has been felt aggressively. Now, are the Miami Heat losing every game they play without these two star players? No, that is not exactly what is happening, but the numbers, specifically the rebounding and the defense, are greatly diminished because of the lack of Bam Adebayo. So we'll start with Bam first. Bam Adebayo did practice on Sunday, which is a huge improvement because he was in a walking boot due to the sprained toe he suffered against the Denver Nuggets just a week ago. It happened early in that game in the first quarter when Bam Adebayo slipping under a screen being set by the Denver Nuggets in the mix and in the set of the play happening, if you will, there was a small piece of contact between Bam Adebayo and it might have been Jokic or possibly even Aaron Gordon, one of the bigs for the Denver Nuggets. And in doing so, it was very quick. It didn't seem very hostile in the sense it was a normal basketball play, a very limited amount of contact, but because of how it took place and where it took place against Bam Adebayo, he immediately took himself out of that game. There was immediately something obviously wrong with Bam. He walked off the court and back into the locker room, and from that, he was obviously diagnosed with a sprained big toe. Now, he's worked through that, and we've learned a lot of good information, including this interview with Bam Adebayo just yesterday, and he had a lot of very optimistic and hopeful words for the entirety of Heat Nation, which is really what we're hoping to hear because we need to see Bam Adebayo return. There's no way around it. This Miami Heat team, without Bam Adebayo, defensively and on the rebounding side of things, is struggling, without a doubt. And that's something Bam alluded to in this conversation. I will tag it down below if you'd like to read or watch the entirety of it and listen to Bam's comments in full. But I'm here to paraphrase them for you. Relying on just Kel'el Ware to be the dominant rebounder for this Heat team is not a problem, but it's not going to get the job done, at least to the level everyone is needing or hoping for. And if you add Bam Adebayo back to that equation, the ability to have a monster lineup, and even excluding Tyler Herro in this conversation, if you have a lineup that involves Devion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, and Kel'el Ware, that rebounding team, in just a sense of rebounding, not even defense, not offense, rebounding, is going to be leaps and bounds better as any currently constructed roster this Heat team could put out on the basketball court. And I'm not really cracking Jovic and his inability to rebound or Jaquez, Powell, Wiggins. It's just how great Bam Adebayo is when it comes to rebounding the basketball, especially at a high level against other really good rebounding teams like the Spurs, like the Denver Nuggets, who made it abundantly clear that Miami was going to be shorthanded going forward without Bam Adebayo. Like we mentioned earlier, the injury took place against Denver early in that game, and Denver would go on to flat out dominate. And that is not an exaggeration. That is not me stretching words. If you go back and look at the box scores and look at the team stats in comparison from Miami to Denver, the offensive rebounding battle, I believe, was 21 to 5 or 6 in favor of the Denver Nuggets in just that game alone. On the offensive rebounds, that is not rebounding in general for a quarter, whether it's defense or offensive or collective rebounds. That is offensive rebounds in just specifically for the entirety of the game, being out rebounded by 15 plus on the offensive side of things is never going to result in a winning equation. There's no way to, when you're giving teams second, third, and fourth shot opportunities after getting a miss because you're playing good defense, but because you have an inability to rebound the basketball and you continue to give them second, third, fourth, fifth shot opportunities, these are professional basketball players. They are playing at the highest level for the best league in the world when it comes to basketball. They are going to get, if they continue to get more opportunities, they are going to find a way to be successful. If it's not the first time, it's not the second time, and it's not the third time, you have to find a way to grab that board and reset things. Get an offensive possession. Don't allow them to continue just to get more opportunities, one after another, where it's leaving your defense in bad opportunities, in bad situations. Teams collapse defensively. They try to attack the paint. You get long rebounds, and now you have an out-of-place defense trying to recoup and regather themselves on the fly as the offensive team is now gaining another possession, again, on the fly. The shot clock is resetting at least halfway, and they're just going right back to attacking this defense that is now scrambling, trying to rematch up and refine themselves in a defensive position, and it's never going to work out. And that's something that was explicitly made abundantly clear against the Denver Nuggets in that game Bam Adebayo did go down in. Now, we'll jump to Erik Spoelstra before we jump into the Tyler Herro comments. But there's no expected timeline. And again, this will be another tweet tagged down below if you'd like to watch the entirety of it from Erik Spoelstra. Shout out to Zachary Weinberg doing great work once again as a journalist on the floor in behind closed doors in the Miami facilities, asking these tough questions to head coach Erik Spoelstra as well as other key players involved in this organization. And Erik Spoelstra goes on to bring up how Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro both on the practice floor for this Miami Heat team, which is a huge, huge positive because it looks like they are working back. They are able to get on the floor and play real substantial time in a practice setting against other legit talent in the NBA, obviously amongst the Miami Heat units that they do have. Erik Spoelstra did go on to point out that Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro were seen in the third unit for this Heat team. They were not in the first or second unit, so take that the way it is. They are not jumping in with the starters just yet. They are still working back, trying to find that cardio, trying to find their rhythm and their footing amongst other NBA level talent. Erik Spoelstra would go on to say that the third unit had a bit of pop and flair to them. It got them a bit of a boost that they were looking for, which is no surprise. You throw two all-star level players on a third unit, they're going to look a lot better, especially when they're Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, even if they're not at 100%. Again, these are practice reps. So that is a great piece of information. Not only did Bam practice, but we're learning from these quotes from Erik Spoelstra that both Tyler Herro and Bam did practice, and they were found in the third unit of this Heat team. So slowly but surely finding their way back into the groove of things for this Heat organization. And Erik Spoelstra, the biggest thing that we have to point out is he would say that there isn't a, quote, timeline for the return for either of these players, but they are working through things. They're trying to find their rhythm and find their way back where they can be implemented into NBA level basketball, whether it is in the first unit or, again, trying to work their way back and being plugged in as a second or third unit guy just so they can get acclimated again. So now to the Tyler Herro conversation. And he would go on to say a lot of great things, without a doubt. These are all positive notes from Tyler Herro, thankfully, because without these comments, we would still be in the dark. We wouldn't know if Tyler, well, we had an idea that Tyler was practicing, but we wouldn't know if he was actually doing anything substantial, if he was feeling good about his ankle/foot, because remember, just 7-8 weeks ago, he had a major surgery. He was on the record saying he's going to make the quickest return from an ankle surgery in NBA history. I don't know if that's going to be all that accurate, but he is making a very quick return, and hopefully he's not rushing things. Hopefully he comes back and he is healthy and 100% and able to go at full speed. But Tyler Herro on today's practice and return timeline, here would go on to say, it felt great being out there with my teammates and being back on the court with them. My foot is getting better, trying to get back as soon as I can. I'm looking at about a week or two, hopefully bearing setbacks. And that's the end of the quote. Again, shout out to Zach Weinberg for asking these questions and getting these really substantial answers from key figures in the Miami Heat organization. So Herro saying that he's very hopeful and he's excited to be back with this Miami Heat organization, being back on the practice floor, playing along these guys he hasn't been able to play with yet because he has not been active all year up to this point. I think the Miami Heat, when they do acquire Tyler Herro as well as Bam Adebayo, things are going to be drastic. Bam Adebayo, as we all know, has been in the running for Defensive Player of the Year for the last 6 seasons, and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down yet. Up until this point, and until he got injured with that toe sprain, if you will, Bam Adebayo was arguably the best defender in the NBA outside of Victor Wembanyama, and that just seems skewed because Victor Wembanyama is just a freak among everybody, and it seems like everyone in the NBA is a freak, athletically as well as just in the sense of the size they maintain. Wembanyama is in a pool of his own. There's no debate around it, and if you look at the stats of this Heat team, both offensively and defensively, there's a lot to look at. The top of this graphic, if you will, is the offensive side of things. The bottom of this graphic is the defensive side of things. If you look in the third column, or third row, I should say, the LG rank is the league rank for the season. If you look at the top, you have things like field goals, first for Miami. Field goals attempted, 6th. Field goal percentage, 7th. 3-pointers, I should say, 8th. 3-point percentage, or 3 points attempted, 15th. 3-point percentage, 5th. 2-pointers, 5th. 2 points attempt, 5th. 2-point percentage, 10th. They are very, very good on the offensive side of things, and a lot of it has to do with the ability to get out and run and play very, very fast. Something that Tyler Herro does mention in this small interview. Again, I believe this is Zachary Weinberg asking some of the questions, as well as a few other major Miami journalists, Miami Heat journalists specifically. And then you look at the bottom. There are a few things that stand out defensively. Field goal percentage is 4th. The 3-point percentage is 3rd. Those are great. If you give up a lot of threes, that's one thing. If you give up a lot of made threes, usually doesn't result in winning basketball. Miami is holding defense, or playing defense at a high level and holding other offenses and opposing offenses to low field goal percentage from both 2 and 3-point land, which is usually a winning percentage. But if you look at things like the defensive rebounding or the offensive rebounding, things are not good. 30th in offensive rebounding, 25th in defensive rebounding, 29th in total rebounding, 25th in assists given up. These are not results, these are not things that you are looking for in a winning basketball equation. If you cannot rebound effectively, it is going to translate horribly in the win and loss column. So what does this look like going forward? If Bam can return in the following week, as well as Tyler Herro, they would be back for that Philadelphia game November 23rd, it looks like, if not against Dallas. The original report for Tyler Herro was 8 weeks, and we had that broken down to this November 17th game, which takes place tonight in Miami against the New York Knicks, for the second game in 2 games against the Knicks. They didn't have Brunson in game 1. Will they have Brunson in game 2? Again, of this 2-game series that are in consecutive games I'm referring to, because they did play the Knicks already earlier this season. We will wait and see. This is going to be interesting. If they both return, when they do, this Miami Heat team is going to jump even further in the sense of offensive production because of obviously the point scoring abilities of both of these players, as well as the efficiencies they both bring on the offensive floor, as well as Bam bringing an anchoring presence to the defensive side of things. Let me know down below, what are your expectations when these 2 players return to this Heat team? Do you think it'll be good? Do you think it'll be bad? I think it's going to be great. I think Miami's going to continue to impress and just fully jump and leap past all the boundaries and expectations that were set earlier this offseason. Let me know down below your overall thoughts and expectations, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.